So coming down onto your back, resting your legs anywhere that you like. So they could be in a bent leg position, they could be out long, your hands could be on your tummy or anywhere that feels as though it needs some extra nurturing or attention, or they could be down by your side if you prefer. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And a full breath out through your nose. We keep the jaws parted, but the lips together. Relaxed through the face. Soft through the cheeks and the forehead. Heavy through the eyebrows and the eyelids. And we just allow our awareness to settle on the breath. The breath doesn't need to be anything at all. We don't need to follow a pattern. It doesn't need to be the most full and relaxing breath ever. It just needs to be natural, whatever feels right in that moment. And because we begin to relax down the muscles of the body, we should find that naturally it becomes quite full and complete on both the inhale and the exhale. With every exhale, relax down more of your body. Often when we lay like this, there will be areas switched on without us realizing, such as the shoulders or the shoulder blades. Just soften them down. The lower back, the abdominals, the glutes and the hamstrings, the calves. Just letting yourself really heavily melt down into the mat, falling deeper with every exhale. If your legs are in a bent leg position, then we're going to send them long here. And if you feel comfortable too, we're going to take hold of the opposite elbow with each hand. Keeping the shoulders plugged in, we're going to drop the arms back. Plugging the shoulders in just means that we lock them in first and then fall back. But from there, we soften and relax. In Yin, we like to start with our perfect alignment and then fall into the pose in a way that suits us. From here, we're going to step both feet over towards the left bottom corner of your mat. And both hands, or the crown of the head, shines up and towards the top left corner of your mat also. So we have this lovely lateral bend. In a lateral bend, it's normal if we were in Yang to be able to hold it, but because we're in a Yin practice, as you soften and melt into the pose, it's normal if your right leg, say, floats a little bit back towards center. That's absolutely fine. We'd like to start with around a 7 out of 10 intensity, meaning that that sensation of lengthening, that sensation of stretch is not too gentle, but not too intense. When the pose is too gentle, it often means that the mind will wander throughout the entire practice, because we don't have that present moment sensation to guide us back to present continually. When the poses are too intense, the mind can wander constantly because we're focusing on when the poses will be over. So we want that perfect intensity that feels like a nice blend of compassion and discipline. We're constantly seeking balance in Yin. balancing the yin-yang energies when our day-to-day life often favours yang. Balancing our emotions through tapping into the meridians within the body. The meridian system draws upon ancient Chinese theory. These traditional theories say that there are channels running through your body and that these channels carry life force, also known as prana or chi or energy. And this is the system that we're working with when we practice things such as reflexology, acupuncture, some massages, Tai Chi, and Yin Yoga. So many practices that focus on mindfulness, connecting mind and body, and encouraging the flow of energy are all built around this idea that there are ley lines, much like there are within the earth, that carry energy through our body. Each meridian is thought to relate to an emotion and a different internal organ. And here we're tapping into the gallbladder meridian through the side body, which is thought to relate to feelings of forgiveness and release and letting go. And each meridian is thought to relate to several emotions, but it's thought to relate to a positive and negative. So the opposite might be resentment or bitterness. And in Yin Yoga, we're not aiming to feel as perfectly happy and blissful as we can at each and every moment. What we're looking for is balance. So if it is a spectrum that we slide up and down, we'd like to be in the middle so we have that capacity to feel a full range of healthy, balanced emotions. It's thought that when we have blockages, tensions, stagnancy, for whatever reason, in the physical, emotional, or energy body, blocking that flow of energy, that we can begin to feel certain emotions in excess or lack, or sometimes completely cut off from them altogether. So we're just encouraging that flow by stimulating and compressing certain areas of the body. Well done. When you're feeling ready, we come back through center and we draw the arms back through center. Now for our counter pose, we're doing a pose in and of itself. So we're going to float the arms down by your side and just draw them wide. It's likely that the shoulders will want a little relaxation here. We're going to draw both legs into bend and then draw your knees wide and the soles of the feet are coming together. So from here, we just relax down. We allow as much of an opening through the pelvis, through the inner thighs and the hips as we can. And if it feels far too much for you, then you can prop the upper outer thighs up a little bit with the block. If you'd like to intensify, then you could wrap a belt around your feet and use your arms as a slight yang energy whilst your legs remain completely yin. Yang in terms of the body would relate to engaged muscles, movement, warmth, whereas yin relates to completely melted down, surrendering with gravity, melting into the movement, just allowing the pose to take your body deeper. What is yin and yang is dependent on what we're looking at. It's relative to what we're thinking about. So when looking at the sun and the moon, the sun would be yang and the moon would be yin, because the sun is warm or hot, it's moving. Whereas the moon is dense, it's hard, it's cold, and more still. But if we're looking at just the moon, then the outer surface of the moon is thought to be more yang, because it's closer to the edge. Whereas the deeper you go, the more yin. And it's the same with our body. The muscles and the skin are thought to be more yang, whereas in yin we're targeting the deep yin tissues of the body. The ligaments, the tendons, the joints, the bones, the fascia, all of these areas which are very, very deep in our body. In day-to-day life, these areas of our body are thought to be constantly protected. So when we're walking around, when we're running, the muscles are switched on, something known as the stretch response. And this protects these deep parts of our body from impact and from speed, which is amazing because these deep parts of us don't respond well to things like that constantly. However, these deep parts of ourselves can often become underused. So we would like to move them in a way that they enjoy to be moved, which is long, still holds. When we do move, we move really slowly. Yin poses can improve the elasticity of the fascia, the strength and length of the ligaments and tendons, the density of the bones, the lubrication of the joints. All of these small things added together can create a really healthy, deep yin body. And there's a secondary effect. We are also stretching through the muscles. So we're not just targeting the range of motion of the deep body, but we're thinking about the flexibility of the muscles as a secondary effect. When we do this, it's thought to release tension from the physical body, which can create a clearer pathway for the prana or chi to flow through the meridian body. However, when we do this, it can also make the mind wander. It's thought that when we have an attachment or a resistance to anything, it can create tension in the mind, which can create tension in the body. So as we release tension from the body, your mind can wander to all sorts of places. Sometimes it will be a thought or a person or a time or a place. Sometimes it might just be an emotion or an energy, harder to place. And that's all absolutely fine. We don't need to place anything in yin. We don't need to decide where something comes from, where we hold it, why we hold it. We simply shine a spotlight on these different parts of ourselves by observing, free from judgment, free from attachment, free from the need to do anything at all. When you're feeling ready, your legs slowly as you can, come together. You can use your hands if you need. the legs gently send long, and we're going to move onto the other side. So we take hold of the opposing elbow, and you can do the side that feels a little bit less natural to you, so that'll be the opposite to what we did last time. However, if that does not feel right for you, no worries. We lock the shoulders in and then drop the arms back. Step both feet over towards the bottom right corner of your mat. Step both hands up towards the top right corner of your mat. And then we release and relax. We aim for around a 7 out of 10. We allow our awareness to settle on the sensations that we feel. We don't want the sensations to be so intense that it feels overwhelming, that it causes anxiety, that it causes any pain, or that all we can focus on is when it will be over. But we do want the sensations to be intense enough to keep our awareness in the present, where we're just observing the shifting and the dissipating of intensity. The reason that the intensity can dissipate is because we are releasing and relaxing and surrendering now. It's often thought that any resistance to a pose, where the muscles are switched on and fighting against gravity or fighting against your natural depth within the pose, can create discomfort. And that as soon as we release the resistance, as soon as we melt into the pose and surrender down, that the pose can become enjoyable. This will feel different in each and every pose. Your experience in one pose will be different to the next, and your experience one week will be different to the next. When we're new to Yin, it's thought that we can be releasing tensions that we've held a really long time, years and years. However, when we frequently have practiced Yin for a long time, we might think of it more as undoing the tensions of the week just gone. Just as the poses can become more gentle as we release resistance to them, it's thought that the same can be said for complex emotions or thoughts that may arise. Whether it's a thought that we've released from our body, or whether it's simply the brain trying to fill the silence because it feels uncomfortable. For whatever reason the mind is wandering, it's thought that attachment or resistance to the thought can make it a little bit more uncomfortable to experience. So we release resistance. This can often be a little bit more challenging within the mind than it is within the body. Releasing resistance within the mind means we're not pushing the thought away. We don't need to be completely void of thought, completely still in the mind. But we're not attaching to the thought either. We're not pulling it in for conversation. We're not agreeing or disagreeing. We're not moving it in any direction. We're not tracing the conversation back or carrying on with the conversation that we've caught. We simply observe. We allow the thought to be still. We allow it to exist in our present moment experience. You might see it as just floating in front of you. When we allow a thought to exist like this, free from resistance or attachment in any direction, it begins to lose its weight. Often thoughts can feel very heavy, very important, especially when they come attached with emotions or an energy. We just allow ourselves to observe them. The thought is in stillness, and we, the observer, are in stillness. When you're feeling ready, as slowly as you can, we come back through center. Our counter pose here, if we have a rope or a belt, we can grab that. If not, then we can use our hand. So, our counter pose, we have two options. Option one is like so. This is also a pose in and of itself. Option two, we can wrap the belt around our shoulders like this, not the neck, but the shoulders. We sink back and we allow the foot to rest onto the belt. Now, if you feel like it's going to slide up, you can go underneath the armpits instead. Do whatever feels right for you and your body. If it feels far too intense, then your right leg can bend. If it doesn't feel intense enough, you can tighten the belt. If we're using our hand, then you can make your arms a little bit more of a yang energy and allow the leg to remain yin. If you're using your hand, then you don't need the belt. The belt just helps a little bit more of the body melt down and become yin. And it's thought that the more of the body that is yin, the easier it is for the mind to slip into the same yin-like state. But it's not about being perfect. It's all about meeting yourself where you're at. We don't need to be as yin as possible. We don't need to feel a certain way. We don't need to feel calm or happy or zen. All we need to do is send acceptance to where we're at. Within the body, within the mind, within the energy. In some poses, you can almost feel the melting down of the fascia when we release and relax down the muscle. Pay attention to where the mind wanders, if it wanders away. We don't need to respond. We don't need to react. All we do is observe, free from judgment, free from the need to do anything at all. In Yin, we use the body as a tool. We know that we can't say to the mind to feel relaxed, to feel zen, and expect it to simply follow suit. But we know that the mind and the body are completely interconnected. When the breath is gentle and slow, when the body is relaxed, when the pupils are still, when there's a lack of tension throughout, eventually this signals to the nervous system that we're safe and can unwind. It signals to the mind that we can become more calm, less alert, switch into the rest and digest system. This alongside our yin-like approach within the mind, which essentially is just a meditative approach, can create a lovely sense of relaxation in time. We place no pressure on when we arrive there. The meditative approach can seem a little bit daunting, like we don't know where to start. But essentially, all it is returning to a state of being rather than doing. It doesn't mean that we need to do. We don't need to push thoughts away. We don't need to be perfectly silent and still. All we need to do is exist and observe. When the mind wanders, we observe. Free from the responsibility to do anything at all. You don't need to respond to the thought. You don't need to push it away and achieve silence. You don't need to pull it in and respond or react, which is what we've trained the mind to do. We just allow it to exist there as part of our present moment experience, and we're just the one watching. When you're ready, we're going to swap legs, and we do this in any comfortable transition of our choosing. So you might send the other leg into the belt and swap that leg long. You might keep that left leg bent for a while before sending it long. You might be using the hand. Do what feels right for you. There is no right or wrong here. The only wrong in Yin is if there is any sensation of pain, because we never want to push the body past its point of comfort. We don't need the sensations to be completely restorative and nurturing. We can tap into that discipline, but we want to move away from that pressure to achieve. Often in our day-to-day lives, we're often pushing our mind, pushing ourselves, pushing the body. This is about accepting the body exactly as it is, exactly where it's at. Sometimes in this position, we can feel a little shake. And this can be for one of many reasons. Sometimes it's because we are tapping into a nerve and it feels a little bit too much. in which case we would loosen the belt or loosen our grip, because we don't want to push past our point of comfort. Sometimes it's a little bit more that we've just tapped into an area of tension. Maybe the fascia is beginning to melt down a little bit. And if that's the case, then use your own initiative, your own connection to your body. You might feel comfortable just to release and relax and allow that melting down. Sometimes it's because there is a tension or resistance in the muscles that we're not quite aware of. For example, the hamstring might be a little bit switched on and pushing against, whilst the rest of the body is soft and heavy. So always just listen to your body. When you're feeling ready, as slowly as you can, we release the belt away. And we're coming into our Savasana position. So if you'd like to just lay down, then you can. However, we have a few options. You could lay down on a bolster or a pillow, guiding the hips right up towards the pillow. Laying down, you could draw again into that wide leg position, or you could just draw the legs long, like so. You could draw the arms back if you really like that heart opening. This is lovely for tapping into the heart and lung meridians. Wherever we are in our personal Savasana, and this can look whatever feels right for you today, we're just going to relax down for the last time, releasing and relaxing through the jaw, through the forehead and the eyelids. I often find if the mind begins to wander, we can sometimes carry tension in the face and shoulders first. So rather than feeling like we need to push the thought away or pull it in, we allow it to exist there, and then we shift our awareness towards the face, softening the face down, softening the shoulders down, observing the sensation of the breath on the nostrils and the top lip, observing the breath reaching up to the shoulders and down to the base of the pelvis. Allow more and more of the body to relax and become heavy with every exhale. Similarly to how the mind has been trained to wander and stay active, the body is often used to becoming tense and engaged. So just as we don't become frustrated at the mind for wandering, we avoid becoming frustrated if we notice the body continually tensing up. We continually give ourselves permission to be heavy, to be non-doing. In day-to-day life, it can often be that there is constantly a demand on a response or a reaction, an opinion, our identity, our mask, our ego, all to be active throughout a lot of the day, which can lead to burnout or zoning out. It can lead to that seeking of external distractions. However, when we allow ourselves to practice meditative practices like Yin, where we release away that responsibility to do anything or to be anything other than exactly as we are, a natural state where we peel away all those layers, all the mask and the ego, the parts that are great in day-to-day life but need a rest. Then it can help improve our cognitive function, our emotional regulation, our attention, our memory, and our mood. Whilst your body is quiet and listening, we're going to plant a seed, also known as a sankalpa. And this seed we plant with an intention that it will grow throughout the week to come, or just throughout your day if you prefer. This seed doesn't have to be something that you believe, but it does have to be something that you like to believe, that you'd like to instill into the cells and atoms of your body, into where we hold our perception, the stories that we tell ourselves. It could be, I am well rested. It could be, I am rejuvenated. I am protected. I am love. Anything that feels very intuitive and personal to you. It could be something that you're struggling with or that you'd like to reinforce. When you're feeling ready, we bring movement into our fingers and into our toes. We make our way up in your own time. And you are all done. Namaste.